Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi. My name is Linda Gill, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees of this congregation. Welcome to you all. The Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Elkhart is a welcoming community encouraging religious freedom, nurturing individual, spiritual, and ethical growth, celebrating diversity, and promoting a just and sustainable world. If you'd like to learn more about this fellowship, please look at our website at uufe.org and join us after the service for potluck. For the listening enjoyment of all, we ask that at this time, please turn off all cell phones and pagers that don't exist. Also, if you need hearing support, please ask for help at the sound desk. Thank you.
Good morning. I was shocked to hear this morning about the shooting at the Club Q in Colorado Springs, and I'm sure our hearts all go out to them there in Colorado Springs who are affected by this tragedy. But on a lighter note, during coffee hour today, the Sunday school children invite you to add leaves of gratitude to their tree, which is there in the gathering place. A basket of blank leaves and pens and a roll of Scotch tape are posted, or will be next to the poster. In fact, they're there now. So please add to it. We want to have a very leafy tree. And you may have read in the update that Charlie Bufford is at Timbers in Dowagiac. Mary Adams reported that she has been unable to reach him by phone, but is sure that cards will be welcome. The address of Timbers is here in my notes, and I will post that after the service. If you consider yourself a radical reader, be sure to buy, beg, or borrow a copy of How the Word is Passed by Clint Smith. Smith takes us on a tour of notable places around the country to consider slavery and its effects in our society. It's fascinating. Please join us, other radical readers, to discuss the book at 7 p.m. on Sunday, December 2nd. Right, Friday, December 2nd is the important day. Don't forget that we will be dedicating the parking lot after church next week with Ken Claiborne's wisdom and coffee and cake. And Mike and I will be erecting the mitten tree in the gathering place after the parking lot. Actually, we're going to do that later in the week after the parking lot dedication. Then the next Sunday, the 4th, we will kick off our mitten tree with decorating during the coffee hour. Please bring warm mittens, gloves, socks, caps, and other winter wear to adorn the trees. After Christmas, we will deliver the gifts to the women's shelter. But this Saturday, the 26th, Woodlawn Nature Center will hold its Winter Woods Art and Crafts show from 9 to 3, and admission is free, at least on Saturday. And last week's attendance was 36 adults and children, and our collection brought us $94 to share with the Boys and Girls Club of Goshen. And this week's offering will be shared with them as well. Thank you.
Good morning, my name is Annette. Hi, and I have really exciting news to share with all of you. As many of you know, we had 2 membership classes, one on the 12th and one on the 19th of November. And as of yesterday, we have 3 new members, and I'm really excited. They are Taylor Chadwick, Jenny Hopper, and Ray Enfield. So be sure to say hello when you see them.
We ring the gong 3 times. Once for those who came before us. Once for those who are here now. And once for those who come after and build on our dream. Today's chalice lighting is from Nick Wilburn. We gather here today to share and give thanks, to tell stories and break bread and be together in Holy Communion. We light our chalice this morning in the spirit of thanksgiving, with love, hope, and generosity of spirit, grateful for this blessed opportunity to be together. If you will join me in the unison covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. This is our covenant.
Okay, I'm Mike Darnell, a member of the church. Last week, some members of the board talked about the recommendations by a consultant that UUFE should review and revise its mission and vision statements. Carl Rust, our president, mentioned that the difficulties he sees in balancing our statements of community with each other and our desire to outreach to others. One response during our small group meetings was that our statements were too long. For myself, I have long thought that many church mission statements or committee mission statements really should be worded along the lines of, our mission is to write long, complicated sentences with many subclauses and lots of commas. It is easy to see how these statements grow and grow. When I was in college, a professor of mine found out that Judy and I were Unitarians. Oh, Unitarians, let me tell you. And then told me about how at some ceremony she had attended, a UU minister was asked to read the Lord's Prayer. Imagine that. So it went something along, according to my professor, went something along these lines. Our Father, our Mother, essence of the universe, a simple idea that grew and grew out of the best intentions of this pastor. The best mission statement I think I've ever heard was for a membership committee. It is simply attract, encourage, cultivate, and retain. Short and sweet, and it lets the committee and the church fill in the gaps of how to carry out the steps. This past week I learned of a UU society that is very small. I don't know the name or where it is, but they have at most 12 members, and they meet only once a month, But their mission, and it's in their statement, is to collect food for their county food pantry project and help share it among the people. But there are other kinds of mission statements. You know, I was a parent for 40 years ago with two small boys, and I don't know if you knew at the time, but a small girl on the way. And we heard about stranger danger, and remember you would see these houses and businesses with just a little hand up. That meant that a child, if they felt threatened, could run to that place and be safe. To me, our flaming chalice that we have in the window there, with its two rings, is our symbol that this is a place where religion can be part of people's lives without being told what to think, and that UUFE is a place where people discuss their religious ideas without fear of rejection. And from this sense of safety and security, we build outward then to reach others. So I guess my version of a mission statement would be, UUFE shall be a haven for those seeking spiritual experience without a dogma or creed, where our free and respectful discussion of ideas will make UUFE a beacon to the world for the ideals of democracy, respect for all, and the care of all life on earth.
What beautiful music, thank you. For our topic today, talking about centering in gratitude and gathering in love, I found a little reading by Minister Emeritus Robert Walsh, who had served First Parish Church in Duxbury, Massachusetts. His little slim book was called Stone Blessings. It's just a collection of his meditations. Make sure I'm okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and read this to you and then we'll go from there. Hear these words. I heard the second Brandenburg Concerto played in honor of Bach's 300th birthday, and I was swept away. I remembered a story about those people who send messages into outer space, and someone suggested, oh, we should send a piece of Bach. But the reply was, oh, That would be bragging. Some say we get what we deserve in life, but I don't believe it. We don't deserve Bach. What have I done to deserve the second Brandenburg Concerto? I have not been kind enough. I have not done enough justice. I have not loved my neighbor nor myself sufficiently. I have not praised God enough to have earned a gift such as this. Life itself is a gift that we have not earned and for which we cannot pay. There is no necessity that there be a universe. There is no inevitability about a world moving toward life and then toward self-consciousness. There might have been nothing at all. Since we have not earned Bach or crocuses or lovers, the best we can do is express our gratitude for the undeserved gifts and do our share of the work in creation. So ends the reading. I can feel Walsh's deep expression of gratitude in those words. The surprise, delight, joy, wonderment at crocuses and lovers and Bach. And woven hand in hand so perfectly with the gratitude is another gift that we do not deserve, but we get and we give anyway. And that is the gift of grace. Grace, not vertically given or received, grace horizontally given and received amongst us. We let it flow between us in the spirit of love. It matches this sense of what gratitude is about. There is no gold star sticker chart. We just love each other and say we're doing enough. Have you ever felt gratitude? And of course we all have. But in a particular moment, maybe you're just feeling such deep gratitude for a lovely gathering of friends or family. Deep appreciation for a beautiful sunset. I felt this enough times that it's remarkable and profound in that personal way, unremarkable in that. I think so many of us can say, yeah, I'm sure I've felt that way many times. Some of us find it in nature, some of us find it and we experience in a sense of a deep welling up of peace or joy from within us. I don't know, there's something about this time of year with the pressure, the push, the encouragement to practice gratitude and to set time aside for gratitude, that it holds, for me, sometimes impossibly contradictory messages. Sometimes the exact same event holds gratitude and joy, and then also at the same time, heartache and misery. The history of the secular feast we call Thanksgiving is one such contradiction. And yet people all over come together and find a way to say, look, the essence of coming together to break bread, as y'all will be doing, or to have a meal with our family of choice or our loved ones, that is always important and worthwhile, and we don't need a myth to rest our hat on in order for that to be a worthwhile use of our time. And I find ourselves today also more of this contradiction, finding ways, how do we express gratitude? It's almost like getting a witness on, like in some of our Protestant sibling faiths, Protestant Christian faiths, people will say, you know, they'll get up and they'll preach it. They'll preach to one another living testimony of how they feel the sacred, the holy God moving in their lives, right? And I see something that maybe that's what's being desired, that's what's being encouraged happening in our social media. And I've wondered, should I be participating? And these are the 30 days of gratitude. I've seen someone do 7 days of quotes that relate to inspirational messages for which that person is full of gratitude. These public displays of something that at its essence, as I understood it from Walsh in the reading, and as I've experienced it myself, is personal, deeply profound, welling up within me where, like I said, wonderment, joy, awe, humbling, humility, that I am able to enjoy this moment, this sunrise, this precious exchange of people giving and receiving and helping one another. What a gift that is. And then somehow to turn it into like 30 days of memes on Facebook. And yet I read those and I witness and I know the people doing them and I think they're delightful and I trust the sincerity there. But gosh, when I talk about the contradiction and the pressure, I'm saying this because if it resonates for you, there will be two of us. You're not alone, right? Sometimes this life can be so rough and so difficult that when we are being called to come up with our memes, our 30 days, what are you thankful for, or even a private practice, that's when I've done the wake up, try to name 3 things or 5 things, what are you grateful for, and there's all these health benefits. But that in itself can feel like such a challenge when we are afraid or battling with mental illness, with depression, or going through a terrible change in our lives. Perhaps a relationship is ending. And then we're supposed to find, oh, but did you do your gratitude practice? And so I go back and forth, like, no, I'm not going to give witness to those things for which I am grateful. And yet, and maybe this is the curse of ministry. Maybe this is exactly what ministers do. So I start with, yes, let's witness it, to, well, it ought not be this pressure thing. It should be genuine, sincere, and personal to truly be meaningful. And then now I'm saying, oh, so I'm not going to do these things. But then do you see what happens is we get back to Bach. We get back to crocuses and lovers and sunsets and friends helping each other and the beauty of it all. And then we say, but I can't bear witness to the joy of it all. I cannot fully welcome the gratitude that is waving through my body and my mind, because there's also torment and sorrow and pain and suffering all throughout our world, and uncertainty. And I think where we come because of all this is to a place where we or at least this is where I'm at today, we need to say, because there are those things, those challenges and suffering and the horrors and the things we read on the news every day, because those things we wake up to in our own lives, very real, because of that, it may be more important than ever that we embrace gratitude as an act of defiance, as an act of empowerment, saying, yeah, things are bad, and I love being able to rise up with my siblings and serve the world in pursuit of justice. I have one more reading that I want to be sure. Let me see where I'm at. I think where I'm landing, because of that, I'm going to fit this in first, is there's this thing called awareness, to be aware of the suffering, right? Or to be aware of those things that bring us joy, for which we can be grateful. And that awareness, Aristotle called it intellectual contemplation. And if we remember that gratitude itself is lifted up as a virtue, and that some would lift up gratitude as the parent, the mother of all virtues. Wow. Awareness, or Aristotle, I like that, intellectual contemplation. Those kinds of exercises, if they are not bringing us to live true to our principles and values, those ones you may be revisiting, lead you to those acts that together you individually and then collectively set as being virtuous. If we do not indulge in that kind of contemplation, we're serving no one. We're not even serving ourselves very well. And what an empty, hollow life that becomes. Any virtue, so-called virtue, such as gratitude and quality, that is doing no good purpose, is hardly a virtue at all. And so yes, denying the beauty or the joyful moments for the sheer fact, to deny those things simply because not all is well in all realms at all times, seems backwards to me. It's better to embrace the joy. It's better to work toward bringing that joy in the collective together so that more can experience it. I'm going to find this last reading. Okay. The world is full of blessing. This is by Elizabeth Turnbox. The world is full of blessing. I have a home, a family, good fortune, good health, a job, a wonderful church family, and people whom I admire and respect to share my work with me. I have a place to go with my weight of disappointment. I have access to water to bathe and soothe away my pain. I have the vision of sunrise over the ocean and the gulls whose voices chorus my song, a choir of chanting, anytime I want it. And I have memories. I have a heart for breaking melting fire in my blood to fracture my sanity, that would cause me to lie on the floor and cry, to witness the children hungry, dealing drugs, watching violence on television and in their home. And I have a pillow to catch those tears streaming down my face, voiceless trees to monitor my coming and my going, and the wind to sing the requiem. I have politicians in white shirts and striped ties to keep guns in the hands of children in blue jeans and t-shirts, and I have drug lords and Cadillacs to keep babies addicted in slums. And I have poetry and ocean to remind me of the goddess, and the goddess in turn reminds me of illness and prejudice. Well, I refuse to lie down and be good. I will not, and here's the part, rising up with gratitude as a battle cry. I will not heal up neatly, sutures in a row, no scars. I will not. I will shout out, I am here and I am hurting, and I'll demand of life that it return my shout decibel for decibel. I will speak of justice and kindness and beauty and truth, and I will try bravery, though I am a coward, and I will honor wisdom, though I am a fool. And I will find other broken people with divinity shining through their own pain, to remind me that the human spirit is hard to defeat, that the world is young yet, and we are just an idea. And love is not forever, but a little love, once in a while, is worth the risk of keeping the door of our hearts wide open. And I look for goodness and know it when I see it, and I see it in you and in the children and in all our dreams. And for these many riches, I can never be grateful enough. May these words land gently where they may, and I send you my personal blessings and love and gratitude for being with you as you now prepare to share in your bread communion. Blessed be.
Reverend Jenny, thank you for your story and the readings and for your message for us. And now we're going to do our bread communion component of our service. This is a tradition that we've done many years, and it is an opportunity to come forward and talk about either your bread or the story behind your ancestors' bread that you bring forward into present day. So please step forward to this microphone. We'll have Joys and Sorrows next Sunday. This will be for sharing bread stories today. Please step forward to this microphone. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Janelle, and the bread I wanted to bring today was not really available to me. I wanted to bring Boston brown bread sliced, it's out in a can, sliced with a little mayonnaise and a slice of pineapple, which is not particularly Southern, but it's something that I grew up with, and it was a really special treat. I couldn't find it around here, and then I found it was $32 for a can online. I love you all, but I'd rather just give you my money. but that was a real treat for me. I did bring Phil's bread. He's home with his back pain. But I brought Italian bread and butter. Now we, at home we often use olive oil. Well, that's what is more often used in the south of Italy. In northern Italy is where butter is more likely to be used. And that's actually where Phil's family is from. That's how we got the butter, and that's how he got his blue eyes.
Good morning, y'all. My name's Dwight, and I brought simple cornbread out of a box. But it's and Oksana doesn't think it's impressive, but it's sustenance. It's corn. It's wheat. It's from the earth, as everything comes from, and it goes in a most excellent way with the beef and bean casserole that I brought today. So what you want to do is take a couple of pieces of cornbread and crumble them up in the bottom of your bowl, and then take a spoonful or two or three of the beef and bean casserole and just let it soak in and be comfort food. That's what we need today. A little more comfort, a little more like a warm hug. I'm hungry. I'm going to go in and eat, so I'll see you. No.
I'm Phyllis, and I brought some cranberry bread. When I was growing up, we ate white bread for most of the time. And my folks were from the South. Well, my mother was from Tennessee, where Dwight's from too. So she baked cornbread every once in a while. And my father was from North Carolina, so he grew up eating biscuits a lot. So they baked. But on special occasions, when my mother was having company or on holidays, she often baked one of these sweet breads, like date nut bread. So this is her hospitality. And I brought along some cream cheese that you can spread on it if you like, or a little butter, or eat it plain, either. Hi, I'm Karen. I brought an alternative to Dwight's cornbread for those who are gluten sensitive. But the real story on my cornbread would be a story of friendship. My friend Rebecca, I heard she was stopping at Bonnieville, and I said, would you get me a bag of their stone ground cornmeal? Because when that stuff's fresh, it's fresh, right? And so she bought a bag, and I didn't get around to seeing her for a few days, and she called and said, I have COVID. And so I gave her a couple days to get past the worst of the contagion, and I took her some soup, and she gave me the bread. So it was a nice exchange, and she didn't have COVID very bad, fortunately, but she did appreciate the soup, and I got some real Bonnieville cornmeal out of the deal.
I didn't bring any bread because some of the bread that I grew up with is kind of hard to find around here. And with the weather yesterday, I was not going to drive all over town trying to find it. But as most of you know, my dad was a prolific baker. He started baking as a way to deal with stress. The doctor said he needed to find a hobby. He found a very delicious hobby. So I grew up with homemade bread. Every weekend my dad would bake bread. He got into sourdough. I mean, he had quite the collection of bread cookbooks, baked bread from all over the world. Loved to try different techniques, different methods. We were the guinea pigs. And I joyfully ate whatever he made. But we grew up with grandparents, family from Northern Europe,
And so at the holidays, we would go and visit my grandparents. And I remember we always had Dutch rye, which is a sprouted grain bread, very dense. Took me a while to enjoy it. I thought it was kind of weird. How is this bread? It's squishy and tough and chewy and stuff. But you know, when you put the Dutch cheese, like a nice Gouda on it, well, then it's different. And so my grandmother always had Dutch rye. We would eat that, and then my other grandmother was German, so my dad always made her rye bread, German rye bread. And one particular story, real quick, I remember I was home visiting from college, and my grandmother, this was in the summer, and my grandparents came down to visit. And I remember my dad and my grandmother, my mom's mom, and I sat around eating homemade German rye with Braunschweiger, Limburger cheese, and raw onion, open-faced sandwich, and we washed it down with the beer, and nobody would come within 20 feet of us for a while. But it was delicious. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience, a very simple meal, but it was all because of that wonderful homemade bread of my dad's.
Yesterday I made 2 loaves. I brought one today, I just cut half. The first time I made bread was at North Lake Apartment about 10 years ago. Every time I make it, it's a little different, just like chili. But to me, it's kind of reminds me of life. It's always changing. It's always different. Every single time. Just like every day I wake up. 2 weeks ago, it was 50 degrees. This morning, it was 17. I'm like, holy crap. My ex-wife's car was frozen, so she couldn't take our son to work. So I picked him up this morning and took him home. That ended up being like a 40-minute drive after shoveling my driveway just so it wouldn't crush and freeze today. But no, I almost forgot to even bring it in, but there it is. So it's just simple. Found it on allrecipes.com, and I figured out more water, less flour. It's a little thick again today, but really there's nothing like fresh homemade bread. Really, no matter what it is. It's kind of a reminder of when things were simpler. 4 ingredients. That's it.